Welcome back. Now let's go ahead and create a refresh button in the menu of the application so that we can refresh the weather, so that we don't have to shut down the application and start it again in order to get the latest information of the weather or about the weather. So first of all, I'm going to create a new folder here, a new directory, which I'm going to call menu. And it will be in our resources folder. And inside of that menu, I want to create a new resource file, which should be a menu. So I'm going to call this one menu_main, and root element should be a menu. All right, so we can leave it as that. And now we can go ahead and add an item to our menu. So I just want to have an item in there, and actually I'm going to use it like this. Okay. And then the settings that I want to assign to this item is going to be an ID so that we can access it or we can communicate with it. And that one will be action_refresh. Then I need to assign an icon to it. And here I'm going to use add_drawable. And I'm going to create a new icon, which I'm going to call ICRefresh24dp. All right, so of course this doesn't exist, so let's go ahead and create a new vector. So new, then vector asset, and here I'm using this icon here, so this refresh icon. Of course you can use another one, whatever you want as a refresh. So there are alternatives here or other options which also are refresh icons, but I think the refresh icon should be fine as well. So here just search for refresh. Okay, and I'm going to call it ICRefresh24dp. The color should be white, so I'm using white here. Next and finish. All right, then you can see it's still complaining, so there are still elements missing. So you need to specify the title. All right, let's do that. And I'm going to call the title refresh, even though this refresh should be a string. So let's go ahead and create a new value in our strings, which I'm going to call action refresh, and the text should be refresh. Okay, now let's use this text here in our main menu. So action refresh, and actually to be more precise, add string action refresh. Then I'm going to set the order in category to 100. So this is going to pretty much order your different icons, and setting that to 100 is just the default here. The order within the category applied to all items within this group. Okay, and then finally I'm going to set the show as action to true, or actually to always. So I want this to always be an action. All right, so how do I use a button at the top right corner of my application? So what I want is to have this icon here at the top right, and when I click on it, it should refresh everything, right? So that's at least the idea behind it. So how do we get there? Well, we need to go to our main activity and then implement a few methods here. For example, on options menu closed, well, that's an option, but on create options menu is the one that I actually need. And herein I can now inflate the menu. Okay, so I can basically display the menu. In order to do that, I can use the menu inflator.inflate, and here I need to pass in the menu that I want to inflate, and it's in my menu folder. So in the resources, res menu, and then it's called main or menu main, and that's exactly the one that I want to use. And now you need to pass in another variable in inflate. So you can see it also needs a menu here. So the menu to inflate into. And I'm just gonna say the menu here. So it's going to be the menu that is passed to us by this onCreate options menu method. So this one will be called as soon as the options menu is created. All right. And then we need to say what should happen once we click on that menu item. So let's see if we can see the menu item. At that point, we should already see it here at the top because we implemented this on create options menu. And we can see it's there at the top, but of course clicking on it doesn't do anything yet. So we need to implement on options item selected. So once we click on it, we want to do something. So you can see return super, but I want to return when. So the thing is, you could have multiple different menu items up there. Okay, and that's why the category was added here, this category order. So it's not that you are limited to one item. You could have, I don't know how many items, depending on how many fit onto your screen, but you could have multiple items in there. With just having one, this is fine, but if you had more, then you could of course have multiple things that you want to execute based on the button, of course, that is pressed. So in my case, what I want to do is I want to say when the item ID is r.id.action underscore refresh, which is this ID of the item, of our refresh item, then I want to request the location data. Okay, because if we look at request location data, and actually it's easier this way, then we can see that we get the location of the user, and then we get the location callback, and inside of location callback, that's where we get location weather details, and yeah, that should be fine. All right, now let's go ahead and test that. So there we are. Currently I'm in New York City, so I changed the location, as you can see. And now let's say I want to be in Allentown. All right, so I set the location to Allentown. Let me close that. Let me refresh the application, and you see we are in Fort Lee, US, and the weather is slightly differently. All right. Okay. So as it seems, we still have an issue with our min and max temperature. We still get the same, but that has to do with the API. So nothing much we can do about it. We could use a very different API call or a different website, or we could replace this whole card here with another card, or meaning it will still be the same card, but it's going to display different information, such as, for example, the pressure or things like that. All right. So yeah, now we pretty much have a finished application, so to speak, even though of course we're still lacking this feature, but we're going to add some more features to this. So let's do that in the next videos. So see you there.